Welcome to None of the Above Acapella's virtual masterclass series. Tonight, one of our fantastic members, Austin Brown, will be hosting a mini masterclass on vocal percussion. Austin joined NOTA in the fall of 2018, and he's the bass singer and vocal percussionist for the group. His background as a drummer has given him unique insight into the world of vocal percussion, and it's helped him develop his own creative style. We're so lucky to have Austin join us tonight, and we hope you enjoy this learning experience.
Alrighty, what's poppin', everybody? And welcome to NOTA's Perk Masterclass. I'm your host, Austin Brown, aka Tejas Roadhouse, aka A-Dog, aka your beatboxing Ben Kenobi. Ooh. So when doing Perk, I have very much a drum understanding of it, and you're basically playing drums with your mouth when you're doing Perk. So the three main tools you'll be using are the bass drum, the snare drum, and the hi-hat, and those are labeled here. And each of them are akin to what you would normally play on the drum set, but you'll just be doing different sounds for them when you're beatboxing. Just a little quick thing before we get to the actual drums. Timing is really important, mainly because when you're beatboxing, that your beatboxing dictates the timing of the arrangement. It's not always the case, because you will have arrangements that don't necessarily need Perk, but timing's very important to it. And you'll typically only do beatboxing in 4/4, which I figure a lot of you are familiar with music, so you know 4/4 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. The only other ones you might be doing are 3/4 and 6/8, because those are a little bit more typical. But like crazy time signatures like 5/4 and stuff like that, you don't usually get to that. And for today's purposes, I'm going to be going over with you a beat that goes along with this progression, which is just eighth note progression, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So first of all, you've got your bass drum, and this will typically be, you'll typically play this on 1 and 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is the driving force behind your beat. This is almost always the first thing you hear whenever somebody is about to beatbox. And what you want to do for the sound is kind of a ba sound, but you're pursing your lips and you're forcing the air through, and not necessarily making it focusing so much on the vowel as much as on the consonant. So it's, and with that, you can also make it you can give the sound a little bit more fullness by going like humming with it. And that's easier for basses to do, just because, like, I don't know if you, it sounds like, it's easier for basses to do just because they can hit those lower notes. But yeah, typically though, like if you're going faster, you'll just be doing like so it'll be, if you were just doing it for the 4 timing. And then on to the snare drum, which that will be on the 2 and the 4. This one accents the bass drum. So bass drum is driving force behind it. Snare drum is the accent. You get a little bit more fun with this. There's a lot of different ways to make the sound for a snare drum. And the most basic one will be like a regular snare hit. So if I go back to here, you see how there's a normal drum head on the drum. That if you would hit that on a drum set, it would make like a pinging sound. And for that, when you beatbox, you'll go So you're sort of doing your bass drum sound, but just kind of adding like a sh to it. So you can also do what is on the drum set called cross sticking. So in cross sticking, you actually put the stick down on the drum head and you'll hit the rim of the drum. For that, you can do more of like a breathy ka sound. So it'll sound more like so. I know for records, Connor used to do this. I also do it a little bit too, is kind of do the ka sound, but it's back in your throat more. It's kind of hard. It's gonna feel weird. Like doing all of these is definitely gonna feel weird, but for that like back in the throat one, it's more like. You can also click with your tongue. That's harder to do. Like clicking with your tongue is easier to do if it's just you're doing that. If you pair it with the bass drum and other drums, it'll kind of be hard to do. So, for example, if you're going for like a metronome sound, you can do, and that you're putting your tongue on the roof of your mouth. It's a hard sound to kind of get, and with like that first note, that first one on the metronome hit is so you open your mouth a little bit more, and on this subsequent 3 notes, you'll keep it a little bit more closed. So I mean, this is all like playing around with it too. You can really make it whatever you want. You don't have to have it whatever feels comfortable. It's going to feel uncomfortable just because it's new and like you're not used to making these sounds. Also, fun tip with snare drums, they're primarily used for fills. So you might be asking, Austin, what the heck is a fill? Well, I'll tell you. A fill is sort of like it's like a mini solo for a drummer, or in this case, a beatboxer. So if you want to build up something a little bit, or if you want to like lead into something instead of just starting off with a beat, so you can go. And this you can also play with. Like it's not an exact science. And now we're on to the hi-hat. The hi-hat is typically played on the ands of, if we're thinking of our 8th note timing, it'll be played on the ands. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and the hi-hat helps syncopate the beat. It brings the driving force of the bass drum and the accent of the snare drum, and it marries them together, and you have a cohesive beat. It just makes it sound nicer. So there's also many ways to do this. Typically, you'll go for a closed hi-hat sound. So if I can go back here again, you see how the hi-hat over here kind of it's 2 cymbals sandwiched together, and then it has a pedal down at the bottom. And what that's for is opening and closing the 2 cymbals that are sandwiched together. And that allows you, while you're playing the drum set, to create different sounds. You can do that with beatboxing as well. So for a closed hi-hat, you'll be going more like, and that's the closed sound. So it's short. You don't really draw out you're doing like a, like as it says, ta sound. It's, again, you want to focus typically these will be focusing on the consonant sounds, and you just sort of have to play with it. If you're good at like hearing things and then like kind of replicating the sound, just like listening to drum, like songs where there's a backtrack of drums can help you, and just kind of focus on what they're doing. And then for an open hi-hat, that you can do like a tss, and that kind of like rings out a little bit more. And the cool thing about that is when I will typically, for arrangements, I'll do a beat, and just like when you're singing, you also have to breathe while you're doing perk. I will supplement like an open hi-hat at the end of a set. So I'll do 2 measures of a beat, and at the end of the second measure, I'll do an open hi-hat sound, but it's me breathing in. So it'll sound like, so it's kind of, so you're breathing in, but it substitutes the breathing in. That way it makes it easier when, especially when somebody's going back and doing audio editing for it. It makes it so they don't have to edit out that breath. And I think it's a really fun thing. Also, if you're just normally doing the open hi-hat, you just do the tss, and you can breathe out. There's a lot of different ways to do these things. Additional sounds, so you can do toms. This is very similar to like a bass drum sound in that you're kind of humming along with the like hit, I guess you could call it. They're really good for fills, so like you can also, like, if you're able to do this, you can also roll your tongue while you do it. So it can, again, play around with it to figure out you're gonna be making a lot of weird sounds. It's going to sound weird. It's going to feel a little uncomfortable, but if you just you play with it, you kind of just play around with different sounds. Now I have here whooshes. That's very kind of vague, but I've used this a little bit with certain arrangements where if you have like a build, they're really good for buildups. So if there's a point in the song where not a lot of singing's going on, you can do a thing where, so you'll kind of, yeah, okay. So you kind of stick your teeth out a little bit and put your bottom lip under your teeth and like you can make it build, and it will just sound, it'll make it sound interesting. And you could also, with that, you can kind of make like the records scratches for especially records. So you can also do the not sure what the adjective is, but the infamous sound in records where you go "Eret." that's again, play with it. It's a lot of it is just kind of figuring out what you like doing, how you like the sound. But that's some of the basic gist. Now I want to try it. So if I'll just do a bass, a measure of bass. We'll start with that. Yeah, just a measure of bass. So if you're comfortable with that, then you can add in your snare drum on the 2 and the 4. So if you guys are feeling comfortable with that, you can add in your hi-hat. So and you can switch up the order of that. You can mix and match where you put the snare. You can do those open hi-hats. Play around with it. Feel it out. Feel it out. Whatever. I mean, if you want to spice it up a little bit, throw in some of those toms. You can try leading into it with a little fill. So Now, um, I'm going to move on to methods of like sort of learning or kind of teaching yourself uh, beatboxing or and syncing up with the arrangements. So the way I typically do it is I have a really drum heavy background, as you may have already noticed. And I will, when I do arrangements with beatboxing, I will write drum tab out. I know a little bit of it. I still remember a little bit of it. So for like a bass drum, it's a low, you'll put it lower on the staff, so to speak. And then hi-hats, I'll use X's for those. And then snares, I'll just put a little regular like quarter note just up a little bit. And a lot of it, I will listen to the song, the actual song, through earbuds and then write it out on a printed version of the arrangement. This is really good with like memorization, especially if you like start working on something and developing Perk for it and you forget what you did, you can go back to it and like, oh, there it is, I wrote it down. It also keeps things organized and helps you with timing. Just kind of, you can look at the singing parts and sort of like match up certain sections with different beats, and also kind of make sure the timing of your beat kind of makes sense with the timing of the actual arrangement itself. This is also really good if you're starting out and you're not used to kind of beatboxing yet and you're still trying to get it down. This will help you remember. This will help you just kind of visualize what you're doing. And then once you have it all written down and you've kind of taught yourself how to do it, you can listen to the group. Also talking with arrangers, they can sometimes tell you what they want here, or what if they want like a fill or something, or a beat to sound a certain way, they'll tell you that. I typically get just kind of give us what I typically get do whatever, and most of the time arrangers are like, yeah, no, that sounds cool. But if you have specifics, arrangers, you can definitely like talking to your beatboxers and being like, oh, I want like a build up here, and you can use like those whooshes there for that build up. Or you can, I've also done build ups where I'll do like a really rapid 16th note hi-hat sound, so or whatever. And yeah, you can also adjust to the group. Virtually, it's harder to adjust to the group than if you're in person. If you're in person, you can hear what everybody's doing and just kind of be like, oh, maybe I should put that there and vary it. And then with Connor's method, or the Gillionaire method, just really familiarize yourself with the song and the arrangement, and just sort of play it like you kind of just really immerse yourself in it, and then just go for it. Like fly by the seat of your pants, sort of just kind of hear what the rest of the group is doing. And I mean, a lot of it is just doing it. Like you just kind of learn by doing. I do have that whole system of writing down, but really at the same time, half of it is just going for it and being like, all right, I'm going to make some noises and we're going to hope this works. And again, listening to the group and adjusting accordingly, good thing to do. Any questions?
Thank you so much for joining us tonight. You can email us right here if you have any questions, and we'll be sure to get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you, guys.